We enter today's off-season episode of our Utah Tech Team Builder Gremlins Dynasty in a very similar spot than we were last year as well. It's not quite as critical that we sign a 35-player class as it was last off-season, but it certainly would help us get rid of all the remaining 0 overall players on our team. And much like last year, we're coming in with very few commitments. Last year we had 4. This year we have 5. We lost at the last second for a lot of these guys, unfortunately, a lot of them being offensive linemen as well. It's time to attack the offseason, probably in a very similar strategy. I'd like to get some offensive linemen on the board for sure in the transfer portal that we were unable to get throughout the season in recruiting. On the coaching and coordinator front, for now we will be keeping both David Braun and Joe Moorhead. A bad season could change things, but for now I think I still like the trees that both of these coaches have. This year, players leaving is a much bigger issue. We have 2 of our top-rated offensive players threatening to leave, including Malachi Coleman, who I desperately want to stay to help out Mo next year. We also have Max Tucker, our leading interception corner. I'd like to keep all 3 of these guys. It's not going to happen. I would love to at least keep Coleman. Your national champions for the year is going to be Notre Dame, who defeated Tennessee. Our rival UCLA made it all the way to the Final Four, lost to the eventual champions on the season. Here it comes, the moment of truth. We are at the players leaving stage of the offseason. No, we have a no chance at all. We don't even have an extremely low to keep Malachi Coleman. I just wanted a chance. I don't care if it was a 2% chance. I wanted a chance. Our pro potential went down even further. There's no chance even. There's no, point even trying to persuade it with a none. I'm pretty sure that actually just means 0. Although maybe it does mean like there's a 0.5% chance. I don't know. None to me feels like none though. So we're losing Malachi Coleman, a sad part of the offseason. I really wanted to try and keep him. We did get Thomas the tight end to stay, so there's that, and our persuasion chances are now done. And thus begins the transfer portal here. It's going to be very similar to last year, where I'm putting 25 points or 20 points to the guys who can take the soft sells, and we're putting them into everybody. The guys that are being heavily recruited elsewhere, probably going to just be taken off our board, but alongside some offensive line help for next year. Now, all of a sudden, receiver becomes a big need for us. I was expecting receiver to be a need. I thought Malachi Coleman would go, but I was hoping he'd stay. No chance at all to sway him was really brutal. So that's some big shoes to fill on the offensive side. Lost our best offensive lineman and our best pass catcher in the portal following our 4-8 season, which I honestly thought was, batting above our weight class, or that's not a saying, but it was better than I think I expected and many others expected. But no 5-star prospects in the transfer portal. We do have some 4 stars interested in us this year. All of them are on the defensive side of the ball. There are some playing styles which are kind of risky to go after, but for guys, all these guys are going to come in as seniors, so I don't care about if their playing style goes down. They'll just go either to the league or just be done playing football, so I think we can add all 4 of these guys. Our defense could get some serious upgrades for the next season if we could get maybe 3 out of 4 of these guys. I don't expect we'll win all 4, but 4 transfer prospects. Now, This is where the difference is from last year. While I want 35 players, I don't need 35 players. So I can put 50 on some guys, and the 4-star transfers definitely going to be the guys that get the full 50 hours of recruiting for this week. Expect everyone else to get 25 or perhaps 10 if it gets to the point where that's all we have left. As for replacing Malachi Coleman with the receiver, he was a 3-star transfer prospect, and we got great development and great athleticism out of him, a great development trait, so that ended up working out for us. Gonna kind of look for similar things here, going for maybe some of that speedster archetype, as that was what Coleman was going after. There was also a 6'7" contested specialist receiver that we decided to add to our board here. Just trying to add several different players, hoping that one of them ends up being the guy that we can have in place of Coleman, like Tyler Nystrom here, 6'2", speedster. That seems good to me. And then again, this 6'7" receiver, definitely going to add him to our board here. And then the strategy for offensive lineman was just avoiding that raw strength archetype. In fact, I was actually kind of looking for the well-rounded. The well-rounded offensive linemen in this game are just really good. Trying to find some guys that were either coming in as upperclassmen or had some deal breakers that we could potentially fill long-term. That was kind of the strategy, going position by position along the offensive line. Agile is also an archetype that I really like in this year, so well-rounded and agile. Pass protector is okay, you just usually get really low strength, so I was more looking for those other two. And then last but certainly not least, a punter. We desperately need a punter. Only gonna put 10 hours in him because I don't feel like we really need to compete hard for a punter, but we definitely need one. And then once the board was filled, it was about who was going to get 25 hours versus who was going to get 10. I prioritized receiver and offensive line for the 25-hour people, and most others just got 10 hours for this first week. And it's going to be much like last year. If we're not like first place after 1 week, or maybe a week away from first place after 1 week, they're off our board. Into week 2 here, once you get into the top 5 for these 4-star transfers, you just have to pray you get a hard sell correct for the most part. And so that's what we're doing for these guys like Sincere, Edwards, Vic, Burley, and the rest of these 4-stars. And for most of them, the best guess was this campus personality one. We had good grades. It fits what we knew about them. So that was the plan here for the 4-stars in week 2. For the others, it once again came down to if they're getting heavily recruited elsewhere, they're just instantly coming off our board, like it happened with a couple of these linebackers. No commitments yet heading into week 3, but we expected that to be the case. I did have to do a double soft sell here for Jalen Braxton, because I didn't know he was the 1 4-star who campus personality did not fit. So we found his hard sell. We're going to go with Gamer here, but the double soft sell might have just taken us out of the running here. We got the campus personality was the correct guess for these other 3 though. And we are first place for all 3 of the guys who we guessed correctly on campus personality. We are now, with the 25 hours remaining, going to go through a lot of these 10-hour guys, switch them to 25 because we have taken some guys off our board. We also scheduled a bunch of visits with our 4-stars last week, so that gave us some hours back, and got some hours back from the offering scholarships, which of course you only need to do for 1 week, and then you get those hours back as well. Moment of truth for some of these 4-star transfers. We do get Sincere Edwards, a big boost to our defensive line, and we get another one here, another defensive line boost with Vic Burley. We just got 2 4-star transfer seniors along the defensive line that are going to give us a massive boost. And as for the other 2, they did not make a decision either way. Miami is going to beat us out for Sammy Brown, Jalen Braxton. So I think what we probably should have done with Jalen Braxton was just guess on one of the 2 that we had instead of doing the double soft sell. And we might have been able to get him. We played the other guy perfectly, but Miami just is going to beat us out for him in the end. So 2 out of 4 on the 4 stars. Honestly, pretty good. Being able to add 2 4 stars to our class might be the 2 highest overall players for us next year because they will be seniors. So can't complain too much about that. And that's going to do it for all 4 weeks. It now comes down to National Signing Day. Only a handful of commitments up until this day. It's a stressful way to do things, but it worked out really well for us last year. We're getting a lot of guys to commit here this week as well. You see just a ton of offensive linemen, which we desperately needed. We need help in the trenches for this year. We got that Jemin Bergstrom. Dom Brackett, we did get 1 more 4-star. So in terms of 4 stars, we had 4 last year, 7 this year. Now, I will admit I did forget to look at our class ranking. So I don't know where this class would have ranked. Last year's class, it was 35 with 4 stars in them, and it ranked 41st. So you'll see here with all these commits, I'll just spoil it a couple seconds early. We did get a full recruiting class of 35 players once more. From 4 stars up to 7, I'd probably say we would have ended up around the 30th best class in the nation, would be my guess. I checked like the week before when we only had 7 commitments, and we were like ranked 78th, but obviously signing 28 more players is going to change your ranking quite a bit. So like I said, I probably guess we'd be somewhere just outside the top 25 in terms of recruiting classes for the year. But for the second consecutive year, this risky strategy works out perfectly for Utah Tech, getting 35 players into the program here. And now it comes time to see some development trades. If we got any good development trades, this Gem 3-star freshman is a star development. You love to see that. You get star out of Vic Burley. So he's only got 1 more year to develop, but it'll be really good development. We knew those elites. Star here with Sincere Edwards. We got star here with Josiah Thompson, our new senior left tackle. Probably going to be starting at left tackle for us this year. Going down the list, a lot of normal and impacts left. And that's going to be the rest of our class. Added a couple star developments, though, for our upperclassmen, which means they're probably going to be pretty good with their last season of development. I was hoping getting those 28 commitments on National Signing Day would upgrade our coach up to a level 10 so we could unlock Motivator. I've been kind of saving up my coach points for that so we could get some boost. We will get a quarterback training boost from Moorhead, though, and in terms of David Brown, we will get a linebacker training boost from him. Hopefully by next year, we'll have a lot more boosts for a lot more positions from our head coach. This episode was recorded prior to the most recent patch that fixed some of the position change issues. So for this, all the athletes I just left at the athlete position, did not move them to their preferred positions ahead of the training period. Taking a look at the receivers we signed, no one is nearly as good as Malachi Coleman. We just got really lucky. I mean, we don't have time to scout when we're looking for large classes, large transfer portal classes in particular. We have a really slow receiving core. The only fast guy is our 26 overall, former 0 overall receiver who somehow has 99 speed. But that's kind of it in terms of speed for our receiving core. It's not going to be, I think, as good. I think we're going to be better pretty much every position along the team. I think the one spot that we probably got worse at was receiver, just because of the loss of Malachi Coleman and unfortunately not getting anybody all that impressive to replace him. We did get some development trait upgrades. The 4-star corner, Ricardo Ramsey, goes from normal to impact, and we also got Cash Dillon to upgrade from impact to star. His caps are pretty low, so I'm not sure the star will help him, but it's still nice. When it came to upgrading, the first guy I had to take a look at was Mo Asamoah. He has 71 points to play with. One thing I want to do better this year is pay attention to these physical abilities. I want these guys to both unlock and then obtain some physical abilities. I think that's going to help their play for next season. And with Mo Asamoah, a lot of his abilities are tied to the accuracy. Only one is tied to IQ. So I'm going to focus primarily on his accuracy. I think his athleticism is already in a good spot. Not that I don't want to have it go up at all. I'll certainly take some. But we get step up and on time by increasing his accuracy a bit. And we only need, honestly, a little bit more before we can do it again. So let's put another point there. And we should be able to get silver for both on time and step up now. We need one more throw under pressure to get resistance, which I would really like. Our offensive line is still probably not going to be great. So if we can get throw under pressure up one more, which we just did, that'll allow him to resist pressure from the pocket better. Love that. So I think we've done enough for accuracy. We might go back at the end. Ended up trying to get his speed up, but this quickness, that was 11 points, all for just one acceleration. Get some IQ upgrades here to boost his overall, also get him closer to being able to unlock his final physical ability. That's not going to be a priority for us. We could go for throw power, or we could go for another quickness, hoping that it would upgrade his speed this time. I think we've done a lot of upgrading here. We can get dot now. We could also increase on time up to gold. We have 19 points left. How do we want to spend these? He's gotten a lot of physical abilities. This took me a while to decide which one I wanted to do. After a lot of internal debates, I eventually decided to go one more into quickness, and he went from getting +0 speed to +2 speed with an upgrade. So I'm taking that all day. Decided to get him dot over an extra increase in on time, and just having more abilities ended up mattering more to me than just getting that ability up to gold. We can easily get that ability up to gold next year. And with his final upgrade, we have 1 point left, but he now has a plethora of abilities and 85 overall, a massive season of upgrades for the elite dev quarterback. He should be really good next year. I'm excited to see him play. Next up on that list is Anthony DeBeer. Once again, taking a look at some of these physicals, would love to get him shifty, sidestep, for sure. If we could get 360, that'd also be good. The armbar one, I don't think we're ever going to get. He is capped out in terms of quickness, but some elusiveness upgrades are going to help him not only be better at breaking tackles next year, which is certainly not his specialty, but also get him to the point where he can get some physical abilities. You love shifty. It's a great ability in the game where we can get him up to gold here. Absolutely love to see that. Unfortunately, he will not be able to get platinum because his speed is capped at 94. We need Architect, the ability to get a skill cap breaker. But we can continue to upgrade his shiftiness so that we can get his juke moves up, which I would continue to upgrade elusiveness here. Really looking, we need +3 to start to get his juke moves the mental abilities, but I didn't want to just focus on that. I also wanted to get carrying into the 80s. I just don't want him to worry about fumbling as much. Would love for him to be a better receiver as well. So spread the wealth a little bit here, but with 19 points still remaining, went back to that elusiveness tree here. And with a couple of upgrades here, we'll have just enough to earn that sidestep ability, which we really wanted. And with 2 points left, we could even get it up to silver if we wanted, or we could spend it on something like IQ or route running, a couple of boosts there. So we had some options here with the final 2 points. Ultimately tried to get a little bit of an overall boost, and much like Mo Asamoah, Anthony DeBeer will also be an 85 overall sophomore. Both these guys upgraded an absolute ton this offseason. The other elite dev freshman that we had was Brendan Carman at safety. Definitely wanted to give him a couple of boosts here in the speed department, as he came in with just an 87. And as I continue to upgrade Carman here, I just want to shout out, if you like watching these upgrades and you want to see all the upgrades I did for the entire roster, as well as just an uncut version of the offseason where I did all of my transfer portal recruiting, consider becoming a member of the channel, as I will be releasing uncut versions of the offseason, me reacting live to everything that happens throughout the offseason as a members only video for every single offseason throughout the Utah Tech Dynasty. Of course, I will always showcase the most important aspects to everyone, but if you want that extra bit of content, consider becoming a member for $5 a month. And for those of you who have already become members, thank you so much. I appreciate it a ton. Back to Brendan Carman, who has 10 points left here. Just going to focus on getting him better in coverage. Got 2 points left. Make that into IQ. Didn't get quite as much of major upgrades as Asamoah and with DeBeer, but that's because we had to get some really big boosts to his speed. Vic Burley is up next, and he has a chance to get into the 90s overall wise with his 35 skill points. An 88 overall transfer defensive tackle. In terms of getting him any more physical abilities, it looks like he's been getting as good of abilities as he can, so don't need to worry about increasing his abilities there. We can mostly worry about increasing his ratings then. His pass rushing, unfortunately, is already maxed out, but we can get him a little bit quicker, which should help, and in fact, we'll even do that a second time. And then IQ is a great way to boost overall, so we'll be hammering that a bit. Not going to be able to do his power. We could go one more in the quickness, or we could continue to try and hammer IQ. Going the IQ route would certainly make him a higher overall, so that's why I ended up deciding on that. He ends up being 3 points shy because IQ, the cost went up to 4 right at the very end, but he did get to 90 overall. The first 90 overall player we have in Utah Tech Dynasty is our redshirt senior transfer, Vic Burley. Brenton Williams was highly productive for us last season. He's heading into his senior year. Would like to improve his pass rushing prowess. Try to get him as high as overall as we can. We'll get his power moves up to 85. We'll get that IQ up. I don't know if he only had 25 points available. I don't know if that's really enough to get him up to where he's going to get drafted. I don't think he will. But we will get awareness and play rec into the 90s for him, and he's well above 80 overall now. Our best offensive lineman transfer was Josiah Thompson, a senior with star development traits. So he has 47 points to spend ahead of his senior year. So he's going to likely be our highest rated offensive lineman for next year, which you love to see. We were able to get physical ability just with a single upgrade of pass blocking, which was good. in terms of the rest of his upgrades here, we have a lot of good we have a lot of good options here, excuse me, for him. I like these upgrades for well-rounded offensive linemen. Let's go ahead and put some into his run blocking as well. I'd like to be able to run the ball much better than we did last year. When Anthony DeBeer was able to get space in that one episode where we were facing terrible competition, it made our offense look so much better. In terms of getting him any more abilities, I'm just not sure we'll get there unless we can upgrade Pocket Shield because of his pass blocking ratings. Could try to upgrade his power. I think 87 strength is enough though. So I think for the rest of these 27 points, we'll focus on IQ and his blocking ratings. Seems like a reasonable choice to me. A couple more here into his pass block, a couple more into his run block. There are 3 points remaining. And I guess we'll go footwork. That is Josiah Thompson now an 83 overall. Ricardo Ramsey earning that impact development was really good because he has a lot of room to grow in quite a few areas here. I do want to upgrade his quickness, get him up to 91 speed, 93 acceleration. That leaves him with 19 points remaining. Let's go ahead and make him a better cover player. We got man coverage up to 75. Let's do the same with zone coverage here. So he's well balanced across the board there. We'll go one more into the zone coverage, and with one left, we'll go into hands. It's now punter time with Karifi Proctor here. Unfortunately, he does have capped power and nearly capped accuracy. The reason I wanted to go more for a transfer when it came to the punter spot was so that he could have some abilities to improve. Unfortunately, this guy was mostly capped out. Obviously, deep range isn't really going to help him, but coffin corner certainly could. So we will get that up to silver. That leaves him with 6 points remaining, and even IQ costs 8. So he's just going to have 6 points left on his card, but we finally have a punter for this year, which is desperately, desperately needed. And the final guy that we will upgrade here for this episode will be Zach Harper, a star development offensive lineman that we recruited last year. Now, upgrading him is going to make him a transfer risk, but with all these points, I'm more concerned about having a good offensive line next year than I am about having our star development offensive lineman transfer. He's going to transfer eventually anyway because of pro potential. We didn't get an offensive lineman that's going to get drafted, so its pro potential is going to remain poor. Hopefully we at least get a sway chance with him next year and he could stick around. If not, he's just a one-year rental at offensive line for us, but he by far had the most room to grow for us other than Josiah Thompson, who also had a lot of points. So I wanted to manually upgrade him. We get some improved double team on outside runs. We can get that up to silver now. With 11 points left, we could upgrade his quickness, but I think we gotta just focus on his blocking for the most part. Seems reasonable. We'll use the rest on his pass blocking, up to a 79 overall, one of our better offensive linemen now. After all is said and done, Vic Burley at a 90 overall is our best player. Bit of a drop off to Sincere Edwards, our other 4-star transfer defensive lineman. And then you get our true sophomores, DeBeer and Asamoah. Last year, I think we had 6 players above 80 overall. We have so many more than that this year. We are a much improved ball club. This 62 overall that's showing on the screen right now is not actually accurate, but this is a team. It took us a couple of years to get it off the ground, but now this is a team that I think can start to actually compete in the Big Ten. I won't be wanting to skip over all the Big Ten games this year because we actually have a full squad. I'll be able to remove all of the 0 overall players from the roster now. We will only be carrying like 60 players or somewhere around there once that's done, but that's fine. I'd rather get all the 12 overall players off our squad. And though I wanted it earlier, we did end up unlocking Motivator, which we will be going into now. One thing to note at the end of the off season here, we are now officially an 84 overall. We jumped from, sometimes it was a 51 overall, sometimes it was a 49 overall, and I don't know what caused the difference, but for the sake of being generous to last year's team, we'll say we jumped from a 51 overall to an 84 overall team. We will be once again opening week 1 against a rival in BYU. This time we will be the away squad. We'll face another FCS team, but here's a look at our schedule. The Big Ten will never be easy. We got Ohio State, Penn State, Nebraska, UCLA, and Illinois, all ranked top 25 heading into the year. We've got all 3 of our rivals on the schedule this year. I think this schedule looks awesome for this upcoming season. We've got a pretty intriguing board setup. We are allowed to pursue 1 5-star. So I have 6 on my board. One of them I couldn't get around to scouting, mostly because I was already out of hours by the time I found him. But I think our recruiting has worked out pretty good for the most part for the first couple of seasons. So I'm not doing much to adjust my strategy here other than adding some 5-stars. I only have 6. I have 6 on my board, but we can only pursue 1. So basically next week I'm going to see who's looking like maybe probably the least contested out of these 6, and we might go after that guy. That'll be kind of my strategy there. I can have as many as I want on my board, but we can only be putting hours into 1 5-star recruit at a time. Who that is, we'll find out next episode when we'll kick off season 3 of our Utah Tech Gremlins 0 overall Dynasty Rebuild. That episode will be coming out soon, and I will see you then. Go Gremlins.